Yo, you know what time it is, baby. Let's go. Beautiful day today, by the way, here in Seattle. Proactive teams and organizations. Being proactive also applies to teams and organizations, not just individuals. Organizations of all kinds, business, government, education, or the nonprofit sector, face setbacks. Market shifts, competition, cycles, and disruptions. And unless they are proactive and learn to adapt and overcome obstacles, they won't survive. One of our clients in Southeast Asia, a world-class high-tech manufacturer, is a great example of this. They embrace the 7 habits, training every employee from the CEO to the front line. They deeply believed in the principles, but then were put into the test. At the time, their factory headquarters were experiencing the heaviest rainy season in 50 years. Amongst floods drove 13 million people from their homes, and more than 800 people died. It was reported to be the 4th most expensive natural disaster in world history. Our client was particularly hard hit, with its vast manufacturing facility under nearly 6 feet of water, devastating an operation that required a zero-dust environment. Experts estimated that it would take $1 billion and at least 7 months of cleanup to get even a part of the factory back online. While much of the high-end equipment would require years to replace, some market reports even predicted the end of the company, which could leave nearly 35,000 workers without jobs. The effects were immediate and global as high-tech manufacturing everywhere ground to a halt without some of the key components. Our clients' leaders refused the notion that it would take years to get back to work, and they were not going to wait to be rescued. Their leadership team had been trained in the 7 habits, and they had worked to make the principles their core operating system. So drawing on years of practicing, they put habit 1, be proactive, to the ultimate test. They immediately spread the word that there would be no layoffs. Their employees were like family, and they would get on their feet as one. The safety of their people was their first priority. Crews were organized to help the most stricken employees in their flooded homes. Next up, they hired local Navy crews to salvage irreplaceable equipment and get it to dry land for refurbishing. While the plants of other big companies in the industry parked rusted in the mud, their workers laid off, our clients' works continued nonstop. Surely it made a difference to keep everyone on the payroll, but rebuilding the business as a team came naturally to these remarkable workers. Tens of thousands, many still trying to cope with crisis at home, showed up to revive their plant. Some traveled miles each day from refugee centers, often in small boats or on water oxen for hours a day, determined to help. Many found themselves doing jobs they had never done before, hard, muddy labor. Company leaders rolled up their sleeves and toiled alongside line workers. Some who had never met before formed teams and solved problems on the spot. As a result, the plant reopened only 15 days after the waters receded. Within a year, it had reclaimed the number 1 position in the market. Observers were astonished that it hadn't taken billions of dollars and many years to recover. All it took was a superb team willing to wade through mud for each other. That is the power of a proactive culture. Be the transition. We've all been through difficult things, and if you haven't yet experienced adversity, believe me, you will. Our ability to put the past behind us, learn from it, and move forward is one of the greatest ways we show proactivity. The very essence of being proactive can be captured in the idea of a transition person, someone who stops the negative tendencies, habits, and patterns of the past, such as abuse, harmful addictions, and neglect, in their generation, and instead passes on to their family, friends, and associates more positive habits, patterns, and tendencies. We can stop these intergenerational destructive patterns from being passed on by using our 4 human endowments. Self-awareness, our ability to stand apart from ourselves and observe what we like or don't like. Conscience, our ability to discern right from wrong. Imagination, our ability to envision new possibilities. And independent will, our ability to act outside of our other influences. Recently, I had a conversation with a friend who flies from Arizona to Pennsylvania every weekend to see his son play college football. I remarked, "I can't believe you go out every weekend to see your son play. That's a huge effort. You're a really good dad." He thanked me and explained, "When I was a kid, I used to dread the sound of my stepfather coming home because he would beat me all the time. I'm so sorry. How were you able to rise above that?" I don't know exactly when it happened, but when I was young, I remember having the thought, "I'm not going to be like him. I'm going to show love to my child." And ever since then, I've tried to be a good father. Even more incredibly, my friend doesn't harbor any negative feelings toward his stepfather. He told me, "I don't know how, but I've been able to forgive him and move on. I've also been able to forgive and get over my real father, whom I only met once for just 1 hour. When I look back on my childhood, I was able to stand back and identify the dark spot in the corner, and it no longer affects me. I'm in awe of my friend and how he was reinvented his life to become a transition person in his family. He stopped the abuse in his generation, and he is now passing on a tradition of love and support to his wife and children. All four human endowments are identifiable here. As a young boy, my friend knew the abuse was wrong and envisioned himself becoming a different kind of father. He was able to stand apart and make a conscious choice to forgive his stepfather and his birth father, and let go of the pain of his childhood. Self-control is a catalyst for the other three endowments. What you can stand apart from your own mind and examine it. To think about your thoughts, feelings, and moods, you then have the basis for using imagination, conscience, and independent will in entirely new ways. You literally become transcendent. You transcend your background, history, and psychic baggage, just as my friend was able to do. I have another friend with a similar past who has always been able to reverse the abuse he grew up with and pass on healthy patterns to his own children. But on a personal level, he has been unable to go over the psychic baggage of his upbringing. "My father really messed me up," he says. "He always messed up my mother and sisters. They are all a wreck, and deep inside I am too. I'm never able to get over what he's left me with. I'm in no position to judge him because I'll never fully understand what he went through. However, I do believe that if he were to fully exercise his four human endowments, he too would find more peace of mind than he ever thought possible. Yes, our genes, upbringing, and difficulties affect us, but I do not believe they determine us. Remember, being proactive is the first habit for a reason. You cannot practice any of the other habits until you first decide that you are in charge. Each day, you and I make hundreds of decisions as to whether to be reactive or proactive. On any given day, the weather is bad. You receive a mean text. Your boss diminishes you. You get a parking ticket. Your friend talks behind your back. You get overlooked for a promotion. Your property taxes increase. So what are you going to do about it? Reactive people make choices based on impulse. They're like a can of soda. When life shakes them up, the pressure builds and they suddenly explode. Proactive people make choices based on values. They think before they act. They recognize they cannot control everything that happens to them, but they can control what they do about it. Unlike reactive people who are full of carbonation, proactive people are like water. Shake them up all you want, they stay calm, cool, and in control. After all that's being said and written, being proactive comes down to two things. First, take responsibility for your life, and second, take initiative. It's that simple. Be an agent, not a victim. Don't wait for your life to happen to you. Happen to it. Be the driver of your life, not just a passenger. Live out for your imagination, not your past. Habit 2. I guess I'll stop there so I could continue habit 2. But Good chapter, or this last little passage. I really enjoy that. I think my favorite line or favorite analogy was the soda versus the water. I mean, what a good analogy to even consider. I didn't even think about that. But being able to recognize that you want to be a water, or a can of water, or a bottle of water, I should say, rather than a soda. I think that speaks volumes for how we are personally, who we are as individuals. Being, even how the book describes it about how being a reactive person versus a proactive person. You can shake me up all you want. You can say so many mean things about me. You can throw bad weather at me. You can make my economic or my finances terrible because of certain issues or certain dilemmas that are going on in my life. But I will still stay in control of my life and say, hey, this may be happening to me right now. Perhaps I even made a mistake, but I'm going to stay calm. I'm going to stay in control. I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to stay disciplined. I'm going to have grit. Shout out grit. To continue my path, to stay and hold on to my values, to my principles that I hold on a daily basis. I think that's very important. Something that like I said, something that I've never heard of about the soda versus the water. I think I really like that analogy. Something that perhaps I may now incorporate into my own value system, or at least keep it in mind when I'm talking to myself or when I'm talking to somebody else and they need a piece of advice, and start referencing that soda and water analogy. Yeah, good first habit, which is be proactive. Yeah, move on to second habit, which will be begin with the end in mind, but that'll be the next video. So thank you.